Nothing you hear in this program constitutes investment advice. It is an expression of opinion only. This is Frisbees, Bulls and Bears. Talking money and markets, what's happening and why. We talk to the experts, the traders, the investors and the companies they're investing in. You're listening to Frisbees, Bulls and Bears with Dominic Frisby.
Hello and welcome to Frisbees, Bulls and Bears with me, Dominic Frisby. A reminder that you can subscribe to the show by clicking on the subscribe via email button on the left-hand side of your screen, and then every time I upload a new show you'll be notified in your inbox. And a reminder that we now have our own YouTube channel and our programmes play there. Now, I'm sitting in Toronto at the PDAC, the world's biggest mining conference, and sitting opposite me is a gentleman called Edward Kelly, who I met just yesterday. He's the president and CEO of a new company, an exciting new company called Inca One. It has a market cap of around $10 million, about $1 million in cash. It trades on the Venture Exchange under the ticker symbol IO. And I think, Ed, by the name Inca, we can assume that you're operating in Peru. Is that right?
That's right, Dominic. We're an early stage gold deal based out of Peru. Our project is in northern Peru. This was a project that was originally found and prospected on, drilled on by the Peruvian government in the 80s, and it was sold when everything was privatized by the Peruvian government in the 90s to another Canadian junior company by the name of Sullivan Resources. Sullivan took it over. They did approximately 6,500 meters of drilling, did soil sampling, geophysics, came up with a historic resource of approximately 600,000 ounces of gold and gold equivalent. This is only on about 25% of the Los Socavones vein. And what was interesting, what got my attention from it, was that at this time in the late 90s, when gold was trading between $250 and $300 an ounce, economic cutoff grades then were about 1.5 grams, which in today's environment, with gold trading in the 1700 range, cutoff grades are now around 0.5 gram.
In other words, the resource has the potential to get considerably bigger.
Yes, it has that's one of the things that's attracted to us to it, and only 25% of the Los Socavones has been drilled out.
Okay, very good. Now, I want you to tell us about your geologist. This is the guy who kind of found the property and rolled it in, and what his background is and why he particularly likes this property.
Yeah, Tom Hendrickson is our chief geologist. He's spent about 20 years working in Peru, so he's worked right from the north down to the south of Peru, looked at many different properties. This is a project that he tried to acquire 3 different times for 3 different companies. After working with Norsemont, he was a chief geologist for Norsemont, started into the company when it was about a $10 million market cap, and 5 years later it got bought out just this last January, a year ago, by Hudbay for $520 million. He tried to buy it for Norsemont, he tried to buy it for AQM Copper as well as Amagro Gold, and wasn't successful. But times changed, and we were able to meet with the vendors of the property and come to a win-win scenario where they won, and we believe we're going to win here down the road for shareholders as well. Okay,
can you talk about what the deal was? If I understand it rightly, you've given them a bit of cash and some options so that if there is any upside, they see some of it.
Yeah, this is a 4-year option agreement for the first 95%. It's $5 million in cash, 5 million common shares over 4 years. And the way we structured it is that the vendors thought that it was worth much more money than that, just because of the historic resource and the potential in the property and the porphyries, etc. And what we did is how we came to a win-win scenario was for each additional ounce of gold that's found over the historic resource at the measured and indicated stage, they would get 1 bonus share.
Okay, very good. Now, let me ask you, what are you going to do now? What happens with this company as you move forward? You began trading last August, I think it was, and you still haven't quite got all your permitting in place. So go on, talk us through what we can expect over the next, say, 6 months to a year.
Yeah, that's right. In Peru, it's a little bit different than other countries. You have to go through a number of baseline studies to be able to get a sort of a firm grasp of the current situation before you go in there, and the government will give you your drill permits. So just in January of this year, we started full force in getting our social baseline study worked on, our environmental baseline study, and a sustainability program put in place for the local communities. We've completed a couple of those now. We're about 80% on our environmental baseline study. The same stance we're going to be, we've started working on our drilling application. And we believe that once we have all this completed by sort of March, April, we'll be going and having our town hall meeting, presenting this information to the community, getting our social permit, and by sometime in June we'll be handing in our social permit along with our drilling application. And basically it's about a 7 to 45 day waiting period after that to get our first 20 platforms from the Peruvian government.
Okay, so if all goes according to plan, the drills will start turning sometime kind of midsummer?
That's right.
Okay, very good. And what's the kind of long-term strategy with the company? What's your long-term goal? What's your exit strategy?
Yeah, well, once we've got the drills in the ground, our initial first phase of drilling is going to go in to be able to prove out the historic resource, to be able to take it to a 43101 compliant resource. That'll take probably a couple months of drilling, and then some time in the labs, work on the 43101. Sometime by probably Q1 of next year, we'll have those results and be recognition in the market for that historic resource turning into a compliant resource. Okay,
very good. And then presumably your geologist thinks there's something considerably more there. I mean, you never know,
yeah,
do you?
We're going into, that'll be the first phase. The second phase is to go in and drill out the remaining 75% of the Las Socavones vein. It was only drilled to 200 meters. It was still fully mineralized at depth, so we want to drill it down to this typical kind of a system. Gold, silver, epithermal system is mineralized to 350, 400 meters. We want to drill it down to there and just continue down the strike. There's a couple of other copper porphyries that are to the north of the Las Socavones as well as to the south. You can go to our website and be able to download the PowerPoint presentation. Those porphyries are the San Antonio as well as the Cementerio. And as well as to the south of the Las Socavones vein, there's the El Wablo zone, where we find that to be a very exciting zone as well.
Okay, very good. So, I mean, it's one of those that if it works and if you've got it in a couple of years' time, you could, 10 or 20 times your money. And if you don't, well, who knows? But your current position is you've got $1 million in cash. What is that fair enough? What I just said there? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going in.
It's exploration, after all.
It's exploration. We're going in. We know we've got baked-in success right now with approximately 600,000 ounces of a historic resource that the Peruvian government in the 80s, they had their pick of the litter when everything was nationalized. They could have chose any project to work on, and they chose to work in this area for the geology. And we're going in looking for 5 million ounces of gold.
Very good. And you've got $1 million in cash at the moment. What's your current burn rate?
Current burn rate's about $120,000 a month, and we'll be looking to do another financing at higher levels in here, but once we get the drill permits to be able to raise money for drilling. Okay.
So, you presumably got people, even though you don't have the drill permits in place yet, you've got people on the ground working and doing stuff at the moment, have you?
Absolutely. We've got our general manager has got a team that she's built. She came from Norsemont. We've got a real about 10 to 12 people that are working with us currently that are from the Norsemont company. We're with the goal of building the next Norsemont. We've got Katty Vargas, who's our general manager. She was the general manager of Norsemont in the past. We've got our head of community relations is with Norsemont in the past.
It's a team that's been there and done it, in other words.
Yeah, it's a proven team. We've got a proven team on the ground in Peru, and Norsemont was our success in the past.
Okay, now why don't you give us a little bit about your background? I mean, you're a finance man, you're an IT man more than you are a rocks man, is that right?
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a geologist by any stretch of the imagination. I would call myself more of a serial entrepreneur. like to get involved with deals at the ground level, restructure them, take them to a certain level, and then hand them off or sell them to somebody else. And I've got about 10 years experience working with public companies, primarily about 7 years working in the technology space, and also working in the specialty coffee space. What kind of goes hand in hand in this project is that about just over 90% of our surface landholders are coffee growers, and it's one of the reasons why we've made such quick and fast movements with the community in building and earning their trust. We put a one of the things we wanted to do is, in part of Peru, you have to give back to the communities. One of the things that we proposed to them was to be able to put a sustainability program in place so that, currently they're only getting maybe about 25% of the yields that they could have got on their coffee plots and farms. And we've committed to working with them now for over the next 3 years, which could double and triple their yields. And that's one way that we've got them to work with us and support us to move forward on the project. Okay,
interesting to know if coffee and gold occur together.
Well, it's to be found. I guess maybe you can find some golden coffee beans there, but who knows?
That'd be nice. Now, let me ask you about the share structure. How many shares on issue? How many warrants? How much does management own? Who are your biggest shareholders?
Yeah, good question. Currently, we've got just over 22 million shares issued and outstanding, fully diluted, with options and warrants as another 6 million. So we've got just over 28 million shares fully diluted. Currently, management owns about 43% of that, including myself. These are all bought and paid for shares that we put up our own hard money and acquired them. My biggest shareholder is probably Mark Levy, who was the founder of Norsemont, the president and CEO of Norsemont. He founded it when it was about $1 million market cap, and like I mentioned before, it got bought out last year for $520 million from Hud Bay. And another gentleman who's probably another large shareholder, owns over 2 million shares, is Paul Matizik. And he's a very successful entrepreneurial geologist, is what I'd call him. He's been involved with probably some of the takeouts that you've recognized before is Uranium One, started a market capitalization of $10 million and got bought out for $1.8 billion. As well as Potash One, he started again at about $10 million market capitalization and it got bought out last year by the Germans for $450 million. And you probably recognize our name, Inca One. It's come from Paul's group of companies. He's currently chairman and CEO of Lithium One.
Okay, very good. So lots of exciting stuff going on, and what can I say? Come back and give us an update in 6 months or a year, maybe when you've got your final permitting in place. And it's the share structure's good. There's not too many warrants. It's not too diluted. It's early stage. Anything can happen, and it's very exciting. So I wish you all the very best with it. Ed, just before we finish, just why don't you give out your website so that if anyone wants to find out more about the company, they can look you up.
Yeah, for sure. Our website is www.Inca One. That's INCAONE, Inca1.com.
Very good. And I should say, in the interests of full disclosure, I don't own any shares in this company. I only found out about it yesterday. But I am going to do some more due diligence on it. But I quite like the story. Just roll on the permitting, roll on the drills.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for your time.
Very good. Well, Ed Kelly, thanks very much.
Frisbee's Bulls and Bears is presented and produced by Dominic Frisbee. To discuss the markets and have your say, why not visit our forum at globaledgeinvestors.com. That's globaledgeinvestors.com. To join our mailing list so you can be updated as soon as a new show is posted, please email info@dominicfrisbee.net or simply subscribe through iTunes.